Yes, get ready for the legal dictation. 3, 2, 1, start. Thereafter, the speaker fixed for examination oblique cross examination of Sri Kuldeep Bishnoi MLA and his witnesses, and on the said date Sri Bishnoi's evidence was tendered and recorded. However, his cross examination could not be completed, and the next date for further cross examination of Sri Kuldeep Bishnoi was fixed for 6th June 2011. In between, on 2nd June 2011, the matter came up before the division bench of the High Court when directions were given for hearing of the petitions at least every week, that is, at least 4 times in a month. However, on account of the sudden demise of Chaudhary Bhajan Lal MP and former Chief Minister of Haryana, and also the father of Sri Kuldeep Bishnoi, the disqualification petitions were adjourned by the Speaker. On 21st June 2011, the Speaker fixed all disqualification petitions for hearing on and for further cross examination of Sri Kuldeep Bishnoi. The cross examination of Sri Kuldeep Bishnoi was concluded before the Speaker, and 5th August 2011 was fixed for recording the evidence of the MLAs. On 18th July 2011, letters patent appeal number 366 of 2011 and other connected matters were listed before the division bench of the High Court. The said appeal was heard on 3 consecutive days when judgment was reserved. In the meantime, proceedings before the Speaker continued, and since the same were not being concluded in terms of the assurances given, the division bench of the High Court directed the Speaker to file an affidavit on or before 11th November 2011. Finally, being dissatisfied with the progress of the pending disqualification petitions before the Speaker, the division bench took up the letters patent appeals on 2nd December 2011 when directions were given for production of the entire records of the matter pending before the Speaker. On 7th December 2011, the relevant records of the proceedings before the Speaker were submitted to the High Court, which adjourned the matter for further consideration. However, as alleged on behalf of the appellants, the bench was not constituted on 19th December 2011, and without any further hearing or giving an opportunity to the Speaker's counsel to make submissions on the status report, the High Court proceeded to pronounce its judgment on the letters patent appeals. By its judgment, which has been impugned in these proceedings, the division bench upheld the directions of the learned single judge also. However, while disposing of the matter, the division bench stayed the operation of the order passed by the Speaker on the merger of the HJC with the INC dated 9th November 2009. It also declared the 5 MLAs who have filed separate appeals before this court as being unattached members of the assembly with the right to attend the sessions only. It was directed that they would not be treated either as a part of the INC or the HJC party, with a further direction that they would not hold any office either. It is the aforesaid directions and orders which have resulted in the filing of the several special leave petitions before this court by the Speaker and the 5 concerned MLAs. As a consequence of the order passed by the division bench of the High Court, the 5 independent appellants before us have been prevented from discharging their functions as members of the Haryana Vidhan Sabha even before the disqualification petitions filed against them by Sri Kuldeep Bishnoi could be heard and decided. Appearing for the Speaker of the Vidhan Sabha, who is the appellant in the appeal arising out of SLP number 54 of 2012, Mr. F. Nariman, Solicitor General of India, contended that this was not a case where the survival of the government depended upon allegiance of the 5 MLAs under consideration, since the government was formed with the support of 7 independents and 1 MLA from the Bahujan Samaj Party. In fact, the 5 MLAs against whom disqualification petitions are pending consideration before the Speaker were not part of the government when it was initially formed. Mr. Nariman contended that the learned single judge decided the issue of merger in terms of paragraph 4 of the 10th schedule to the Constitution. Stop. Get ready for the general matter. 3, 2, 1. Start. Madam Chairman, I rise to support the railway budget. At the outset, I congratulate the Honorable Minister for presenting a socio-economic development-oriented budget for the first time by giving concessional and free journey facility by rail to war and police widows, disabled and industrial workers awarded for productivity and technological innovation. This will certainly boost the morale of workers for increasing productivity. I am not happy at the second class fare increase. Due to financial constraints, the Honorable Minister has been forced to increase the second class rail fare. The second class rail fare should not have been increased and the passengers should have been spread off this increase in second class fare. The Honorable Minister has announced several measures to modernize and improve the working of the railways. The railways are the lifeline of the nation. Therefore, the railways in India really need upgradation and modernization. We are lagging behind in modern rail facilities when compared to the advanced countries. I am glad that the Honorable Minister has laid emphasis on the modernization of the railways. Adequate funds should be provided to implement modernization programs. The Indian Railways have made distinct improvements during the first 3 years of the 7th plan. The Honorable Minister deserves congratulations for this, but many more works are yet to be undertaken, and I hope with the efficiency and dedication of the ministry as well as with the dynamic minister, the Indian Railways will make further improvements in the remaining years of the 7th plan. Sir, I thank the Honorable Minister for exempting goods rate hike in respect of certain commodities like fertilizers, food grains, fodder, livestock, pulses, edible oils, salt, etc. These are the essential commodities of common use, so this exemption will provide a great relief to the common man. Large parts of the country faced an unprecedented drought during 1987. The railways ensured massive movement of diesel, food grains, and edible oils to the drought affected areas. The track restoration work in the northeastern parts of the country after the flood was also commendable. Despite all these hurdles, the freight performance of the railways has surpassed the annual target. The credit goes to the employers and workers of the railways for these performances. I thank the Honorable Minister for performing such a challenging task in an extremely efficient and commendable way. Sir, 64 new trains have been introduced during 1987-88. The frequency of some existing trains have also been increased. There was a demand to provide track service between capitals of southern states and the national capital Delhi. I am happy to say that superfast express services have been provided between Delhi and capitals of the four southern states Bangalore, Hyderabad, Madras, and Thiruvananthapuram during 1987-88. The minister has given a list of some new trains proposed to be introduced from 1st May 1988. Now I would like to say a word about computerization of passenger reservation. The government have taken steps in this respect, but it is limited to Delhi and a few metropolitan cities. I am glad to learn that computerized passenger reservation facility is going to be introduced at some other cities like Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Bhopal, Lucknow, and Hyderabad. I urge upon the government to extend such a facility to Mysore also. I would like to say a few words about my state of Karnataka. Karnataka is very deficient on broad gauge compared to other states in the south. Therefore, I would like to press for a more rapid conversion of the trunk routes in that stage into broad gauge. There is reluctance on the part of the trade and industry to expand their industrial establishment and trade. The broad gauge would provide them uninterrupted rail transit for their raw materials and finished goods. The conversion of Bangalore-Mysore railway line into broad gauge was sanctioned during 1979. The estimated cost of the project was Rs 26 crores. Now it has further gone up. The amount spent on this project is about 6 crores of rupees only. The budget provision made for this project in 1985-86 and 1986-87 was very inadequate. Therefore, I would like to request the Honorable Minister to provide sufficient funds. Stop over.